Communications class, I will be discussing why millennials are choosing not to have children. And roughly, there are three main reasons why they are choosing not to have children. The first one and the biggest one is financial stability. The second one is career and lifestyle priorities. And the third one is cultural and social shifts in today's society. So, first, I'll be talking about financial. Roughly, the biggest reason why is the rising cost of living nowadays is pretty high, and then people are barely struggling to uh, like live as it is now. The last thing they need is a probably a child to come in their life to make sure that there is more financial struggle that comes in. Well, most people would make sure they have comfort money before they ever plan on actually having a family or let alone having a child. Because in the United States, the cost for to raise a child from literally a baby all the way to 18 years old is roughly $240,000 today, which is pretty high, and that is a lot of money that most people don't want to spend, or let alone uh, a baby. Like, let alone you have to pay for new clothes, you have to pay for crib, you got to pay for diapers all the time, you got to pay for baby food, and let alone if you and you and probably your wife or your girlfriend would probably have to, if you guys both work, then you guys would probably have to pay for daycare, which just keeps on adding up and adding up the entire time. Pretty much, where most couples would don't really want to think about that right now. They would much rather make sure they're financially stable before actually attempting to do that, which would probably come in later in their life. Two would be career and lifestyle priorities. Some people would much rather just focus on work, making sure they can actually make good money before actually starting a family, which would come probably later in life because everything costs so much nowadays. And then sometimes work takes away from basically sometimes for the baby, depending on whatever job that you have, you may not always be there. And then two, sometimes couples may just want to have the freedom of just not having a child, which is roughly just not always having to deal with it and just kind of just doing whatever they want to do as a couple during that point, and just having the freedom of just not having to deal with extra problems in their life right now. And then cultural and social shifts. Roughly today, there's less pressure to have a child because everyone's so career driven and focused right now to make sure they could actually live comfortable with themselves, let alone having a partner, then later on having a child with that as well. And then, in conclusion, these are the three reasons why millennials are choosing not to have children during this point, in which it's kind of a new thing compared to how old generations were of just having kids right off the rip and basically figuring out as long as they go. But nowadays, people don't want to do that. They want to make sure they're uh, pretty comfortable with life before actually doing something like that. Because sometimes people just deal with enough stress as it is during this point. And thank you.